So on these, we are going to round normally, which means 0.5, or actually 0.495, which rounds up to 0.50 for your standard quota, means you round up. So for standard quota, 0.5 and up rounds up. So this becomes 4, this becomes 5, this becomes 2, this stays at 9, this becomes 14, this becomes 4, this becomes 7, and this becomes 11. And it's going to be pretty obvious what moves. When I add these up, I get 56. So I need to go down one vote, or one rep. And it's clear which one is going to go down. The 0.52 is the one that just barely made it over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this standard quota to 3.49, which means to get my new standard divisor for everybody, I'm going to do 251 divided by 3.49. And when I do that, 251 divided by 3.49, I get 71.92. And that's the new standard quota I'm going to go with. Now, my range of standard quotas, anywhere between 71.92 and 72.94 will work. But if I use 71.92, I'm simply going to divide everything by 71.92. So 273 divided by 71.92, 3.80, and that rounds to 4. 345 divided by 71.92, and that rounds to 4.80, and that still rounds to 5. 140 divided by 71.92, that's 1.95, and that still rounds to 2. 658 divided by 71.92 is 9.15, and that still rounds to 9. 984 divided by 71.92. Bigger population will move a little bit more, but certainly not enough to change the rounding. 13.68. I'll check it again. 251 divided by 71.92. That gives me 3.489, which would give me 3.49, and that now rounds down to 3. 489 divided by 71.92 is 6.80. That still rounds to 7. And 782 divided by 71.92, and that's 10.87, and that rounds to 11. Okay, and if I add those up, I end up with 55, which is the amount of representatives I want. Now the second one, I round normally. 11, 9, 3, 18, 3, 5, 13, and 17. When you add those up, you end up with 79. And just like the other one I think is pretty obvious, so is this one. Okay. 17.444 is the biggest, or is one of the bigger populations, and it's by far closest to 0.5. So that clearly has to be the one that moves up. Like E is close, but it's not as close, and it's a smaller population, it's not going to move as quickly, whether that's up or down. So in this case, what I would want to do is make this 17.50. So I'm going to take my 920 and I'm going to divide by 17.50. 920 divided by 17.5 gives me 52.57. And really, any number between 51.85 and 52.57 will work. But if I decide to go with 52.57, 591 divided by 52.57. That's 11.24, still rounds to 11. 483 divided by 52.57. 9.19 still rounds to 9. 132 divided by 52.57. I'm sorry, 135 divided by 52.57. That goes up slightly to 2.57, still rounds to 3. 937 divided by 52.57. That gets me to 1782, still rounds to 18. 179 divided by 52.57. We get 3.40, which still rounds to 3. 276 divided by 52.57. We get 525, and that still rounds to 5. 700 divided by 52.57. We get 13.32. That still rounds to 13. And then obviously our 920 divided by 52.57 gives me 17.50, and that now rounds to 18. I add up that column, we get to 8. So when we FOIL, 4x times 6x is 8x squared. 4x times 5 is 20x. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. And we combine that middle term. You do have to combine the middle term. 20x minus 6x is positive 14x. This is our answer. Here, 5x times 3x is 15x squared. 5x times 8 is 40x. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times 8 is 32. 15x squared plus 52x plus 32. 3x times 4x is 12x squared. 3x times negative 7 is negative 21x. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. Negative 2 times negative 7 is 14. And we combine that middle term, it's negative 29x and plus 14. And finally, 6x times 3x is 18x squared. It's minus 42x plus 33x. And then minus 77. 18x squared minus 9x minus 77 is